We called her a hippopotamus. It's toasted.
I wish my husband didn't object to them.
Of course, it's a bother to clean the cage every day.
I wouldn't mind doing that.
Make sure to get one that can sing.
Well, don't they all sing?
Oh, no, my dear. Some of them just whistle.
I've heard they're very affectionate.
I find them so.
Did it take long to tame yours?
Oh, no, not at all. Just a few days. Now it just sits on my hand and doesn't even bite me.
How charming!
Is it true they imitate policemen?
Ah, my dear, they imitate everybody.
Oh, I'm afraid my husband would not like that.
How do you mean, my dear?
If ours imitated a policeman.
Really? Well, why should he object?
I'm afraid it would make him terribly nervous. The idea of the thing.
Your husband is a vegetarian?
Oh, on the contrary. My husband's a burglar.
Oh, I see.
Have a cigar? And how were the three Miss Weirds today?
Very well, thank you, Doctor.
Fine weather, isn't it?
One really is glad to be alive.
Speaking of dust, let me introduce a distinguished foreigner. Mr. Anybody. Press flesh with the three Weird sisters. Get used to Miss Stop, Miss Look, and Miss Listen.
I don't think I ever heard the name. Did you?
Madam, I am very noble.
Anybody is just his nom de plume, you know. My friend is strictly incog.
How romantic.
How thrilling.
Do tell us his real name.
My real name, ladies, is Marquis de la Poussière.
Delighted, Marquis.
Enchanted.
Overwhelmed.
Well, guess we'll blow. I got some important business to attend to. Bye-bye, girls.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Adieu,
Marquis. So how often do you change the water?
I change it once a day, but Mrs. Strong changes it twice a week.
Has Mrs. Strong a hippopotamus?
Oh, yes, my dear, she has too. That's where I got mine.
Ugh, I wish I'd known.
I should have gotten my husband to steal one for me.
What a pity. She didn't know what to do with the other 6, so she gave them to a circus.
They're darling when they're young, aren't they?
Perfectly darling.
But I suppose it's a nuisance until the little things become housebroken.
Nah, you get used to that.
I look like the devil.
Wanted. Death's brother.
No, but did you ever try to go to sleep and not be able to and lie watching the dark and thinking about things?
Did I wish?
Nothing.
Impossible.
Look, would you be nice to me? You can do that anytime.
Can I?
It's true.
What's it?
It is that you don't really care about...
I'll bite the rubber angleworm. What don't I really care about?
anything.
Whereas this is what's untrue. Anything, everything, nothing, and something were looking for eels in a tree when along came sleep, pushing a wheelbarrow full of green mice.
I thought so.
I, however, thought it was the taller of two umbrellas who lit a match when they found themselves at the main street of Hocus Pocus, side by each riding elephants made out of candy.
And you may find this sort of thing funny, but I don't.
May I?
Oh, suddenly I think I'd like to die.
Well, I think there's some thinking being done around here. But why die now? The morns on the thorn, the snails on the wing, and the plays on the way. And who knows?
I do. I know we're absolutely different. I've tried, and tried not to know it, but what in the world is the use of trying? Oh, I am so sick of trying.
Me too. Or this business of writing a play, I mean.
You mean I'm no good to you, and that we should have ended everything long ago because not being interested in all the ideas you're interested in, it's obviously silly of me to pretend.
To pretend? What's obviously silly of you to pretend is that we are not in love.
In love.
Precisely, otherwise we couldn't fight each other so.
And this may be your idea of being in love. It isn't mine.
What did you say?
I said, it's not my idea of love.
No, I mean when I was sitting and
Who cares?
you asked me something. I have it. You said you couldn't go to sleep. I'm very sorry.
Stop. Please, I don't want you to be nice to me.
Well, I can't help being nice to you because I'm in love with you. Oh, yes, I am. You may not be in love with me, but that doesn't prevent me from being in love with you.
I don't know, really. Oh, I wish.
What?
Because with part of you, I think I'm in love. What can I do?
Well, now let's see. Here's a bright idea. You can advertise in the Paris edition of the New York Herald for a new lover. Thus, by a freckled, fragile, petite brunette, incapable of loneliness and cooking, wanted a tall, strong, handsome blonde, capable of indigestion and death. Signed, Cinderella Van Winkle.
Who's she?
Don't tell me you've never in your life heard of Cinderella Van Winkle, my dear. The bluest blood in all Gotham. Directly descended from the three wise men who went out to sea in a thunder mug, and great granddaughter twice removed of the original and only founder of the illustrious Van Winkle family, Never Van Winkle, who married a hole proof.
Being funny doesn't help.
Neither, he inadvertently answered, does being tragic.
Who's being tragic?
I give it up.
You mean me? I'm not being tragic, I'm being serious. Because I want to decide something. I think you might help me instead of making fun of me.
In that case, I have a hunch. What? What in the world?
Yes?
What's the matter?
Nothing? Go on, I'm listening.
You're also stopping and looking, which confuses me because I don't see the engine.
There isn't any. Go on. I was thinking.
Okay, and may I ask what you were thinking?
Yes?
Well?
I was thinking when you said about
About.
Having a hunch.
Yes.
About a hunchback. That's all.
What about a hunchback?
Nothing. Fair good luck. Please, tell me now, that is if you'd like to.
Tell you?
About the play. Do you think it'll be finished soon?
On the contrary, that is, yes, it'll be torn up.
Torn up? Why?
No good.
I'm sure it's good.
You haven't had the misfortune to read it.
I'd like to. If you don't mind, can I?
Well, of course, if you wish. It's no good.
I'd like to read it anyway. Have you got it in your hump?
What?
Pocket, I meant.
My God! Have I a hump?
Please, don't be angry with me. I know I'm stupid. I can't help it.
Why? I was just on the point of letting our mirror decide the question.
Were you now? I guess men are vain. But that big mirror's no good and never was any.
You like my play?
Nonsense. If you really want to see yourself, I've got a little one in my... Oh no, I lost it.
A little one in your which?
A little mirror, stupid, in my bag. I must have dropped it in a snowdrift.
Not the bag.
No, the mirror. I can't find it anywhere.
Never mind. I've decided it's safer to take your word for my looks.
How sweet of you. Maybe you'll let me see the play too? Please?
I haven't the play with me today, unfortunately.
I thought you always carried notes around or something. What were you writing a moment ago?
Oh, a mere trifle, as it were, a little embonpoint to the dearly beloved master of my old prep school at Stoneacre Heights, regretting, as it were, that the undersigned is unable, for pressing reasons, to be present at the annual grand ball and ceremony to be held forthwith on the 13th Friday of next Saturday, beginning with last Thursday, until further notice to be furnished by...
What master?
I doubt you've ever heard of the fellow. His name is Bates. Let's now turn to serious subjects. Assuming a zygote to result from the fusion of two gametes, our company will next attempt to visualize through half-shut optics a semi-fluid, semi-transparent, colorless substance consisting of hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen.
We're looking for eels in a tree.
Precisely, when who should come along but little Mr. Mendel, wheeling a numerical law full of recurring, inherited characteristics, all wrong side up on the slack-wire tightrope with their eyes shut. Damn everything but the circus! And here I am, patiently squeezing four-dimensional ideas into a two-dimensional stage when all of me, that's anyone or anything, is in the top of a circus tent.
I never imagined you were leading a double life. And right under my nose, too.
The average painter, poet, sculptor, composer, playwright is somebody who cannot jump through a hoop from the back of a galloping horse, make people laugh with a clown's mouth, or orchestrate 20 lions.
Indeed.
But imagine a human being who balances 3 chairs, one on top of the other, on a wire 80 feet in the air, with no net underneath, climbs into that top chair, sits down, and proceeds to swing.
I'm glad I never saw that. Makes me dizzy just to think of it.
I never saw that either.
Because nobody can do it.
Because I am that. But in another way, it's all I ever see.
What is?
This. I feel only one thing. I have only one conviction. It sits atop 3 chairs in heaven. And sometimes I look at it with terror. It is such a perfect acrobat. These 3 chairs are 3 facts. It will quickly kick them out from beneath itself and stand on air. And in that moment, because everyone will be disappointed, everyone will applaud. Meanwhile, thousands of miles over everyone's head and over 1 billion empty faces, it rocks carefully and smilingly on 3 things, on 3 facts, on I am an artist, I'm a man, I am a failure. It rocks, and it swings, and it smiles, and it does not collapse, tumble, or die because it pays no attention to anything but itself. I feel. I am aware. Every minute, every instant I watch this trick, I am this trick. I sway, selfish and smiling and careful, above all the people. And always I am repeating a simple and dark and little formula. Always myself mutters and remutters a trivial, colorless, microscopic idiom. I breathe, and I swing, and I whisper. An artist, a man, a failure must proceed.
This thing, or person who is you, who does not pay any attention to anyone else, it will stand on air?
On air, above all the faces, lives, screams, suddenly, easily alone.
How about the chairs?
The chairs will all fall by themselves down from the wire and be caught by anybody, by nobody, by somebody who sees me and whom I don't see. Perhaps by everybody.
Perhaps yourself. You, away up ever so high. Will you hear me applaud?
I shall see your eyes. I shall hear your heart move.
Because I shall not be disappointed, like the others.
Women generally prefer the theater, however.
Women can't help liking theater any more than women can help liking men.
I don't understand.
What I mean is perfectly simple. I mean, women like to pretend.
Upon which words our knock-kneed, fly-bitten hero executed a spontaneous, inverted quintuple back somersault, missing the non-existent trapeze by 6 7/8 inches.
I'm sorry. You see, it's no use trying to tell me things because I don't understand. I can't argue.
Wrong. Wrong. Please don't mistake him. It was meant as a compliment. He's a harmless acrobat. He was only trying to show you that he feels how much finer you are than he is or has been or ever will be. You should pity him. Poor clown.
You shouldn't play up to me.
You should know better than to accuse me of playing up for you.
Oh, you can't know anything about men. They're so complicated.
Men? Complicated?
Women don't want so many things.
Any
if
woman?
she's really a woman.
Well, what does a woman who's really a woman wish?
That's a secret.
Well, a secret is something to be guessed, isn't it?
You'll never guess mine.
Really? Well, speaking of secrets, here's one which I've never breathed into a single soul. ¿Sabe usted quién soy?
No, do you?
Mr. Bang the Hunter. I hunt the microcosm with bullets made of microcosm and vice versa. Yes, sir, I very positively tell this to absolutely no one. My gun is made of chewing gum.
I wish I had a piece. Where are we? I mean, who are we? What am I doing here?
We're married.
Why do you say that?
Isn't that the way married couples are supposed to feel? It's snowing. Showing. Knowing.
Promise something.
Uh-huh.
Promise that when the circus comes this year, you'll take me.
On one condition. That you agree to see everything.
Of course.
Well, last year you refused to pay your respects to the queer folk.
Oh, but that's not the circus, and besides, whoever wants to see a lot of moth-eating freaks?
I did. And I remember once upon a time coming out of the circus on somebody's shoulder and hearing a loud throbbing noise and a coarse voice squirting a stream of bright words, and looking and seeing a small tent with huge pictures of all sorts of queer things, and the barker spieling like a fiend, and the people all about him gaping like fish, whereupon I began to tremble.
Whatever's that?
And begged somebody to take me in, which somebody probably did, I can't quite remember.
I hear something, don't you? That. It's ever so near now. Must be a parade, and on such a wintry day, too. Imagine.
Well, what you hear, and I don't, must either be an exhalated engineer in a silk stovepipe with a sprig of shamrock in his buttonhole, riding a red, white, and blue tricycle like mad up Fifth Avenue and waving a little green flag, or Einstein receiving the keys to the city of Coral Gables in a gondola.
I'm sure it's a parade.
Or a social revolution.
Will it do something?
I see flowers. What?
Seems to have stopped. Very near. Please, run in and see, will you? Here's your hat. And look, it's snowing. You'd better take...
To hell with the umbrella. Okay, well, and what does your very obedient and humble servant's mission consist?
You're to take a look around the corner, because I'm almost sure there's something.
Pardon me, Your Excellency, for remarking that I think you're crazy.
You don't need to tell me. I know I am.
I suppose so. What did you say yours was called?
It's toasted. But it died.
How terrible! Did it swallow something?
No, it fell down the stairs.
Oh, I can sympathize with you, my dear. All my children were killed in the Great War.
How perfectly marvelous! How many did you have?
At one time, I had 80 boys.
Boys are the naughtiest little creatures. Ugh. Didn't you find them a bother?
No, I used to keep them out on the fire escape.
Male or female?
Female, so my husband says.
I beg your pardon. How do you do?
Yes, Willie will.
Willie?
Will die
Die?
1 hour before midnight, daylight savings time, February 30th.
How?
At 70 kilometers an hour of Inouye with complications, in a toilet of the train deluxe going from Hirsol to Hirsol. Next.
The key to the philosophy of lack is John. Beware of swallowing too much broken glass during the week, and when riding your bicycle to and from work, never take your feet off the handlebars, even if a policeman smiles at traffic. Your favorite planet is Ringling Brothers. Horseradish will not produce consequences unless cowslipped, which is unlikely to not be daunted, though affairs go badly, since all will be well. The cards say and the tea leaves admit that nothing will be as good as a feast, which will cause you some flatulence. But you won't matter, as long as Gypsy continues to remain a diurnal watering pot, and beware of a woman called Medope, who is in the pay of Triglav, disguised as either an insurance agent or I forget which, but it doesn't matter. And whenever someone hits you with the exaggerated amphalos, respond with a three-fisted aphorism to the precise kasaza. Fare thee well, ne'er-do-well. Next!
You suffer from noble blood poisoning. Time is the autobiography of space. Treat a woman, give a woman everything, and she will have nothing. Life is a matter of being born. Treat a man like dirt, and he will produce flowers. Art is a question of being alive. Go in peace.
Writing things people want, the public, things people would like. Like plays and scenarios.
Key ring comedies and keyhole farces.
Not serious necessarily.
Just dull.
People like serious things.
The four horses of the apocalypse.
Because, really, you're ever so clever. I know that.
You made me what I am today. I hope you're satisfied.
No, but take...
I see it all now. The great American novel. Give me a chord, Professor, where for the first and only time is revealed in all its starting circularity the long-lost narble of the Middle West. Lucy T. Watt felt that something which is nothing like anything and as quick as everything, laying her red-hot pail of blackberries in the mid-afternoon moonlight, slowly raised two eyes, in both, after each of which a single tear strove, as it were, for the mastery to those of Henry Pudd, who merely looked at her, however.
Oh, well, you don't want to be serious.
Serious? Serious? You're jesting.
I was trying to help you.
If we are dolls, pulls the strings. If it pulls the strings, we are the dolls who move. You look terribly.
I can't help it. And I've tried not to talk about it, and I'm sick with worrying.
Your hair is beautiful today.
Yes. I tried that, and I even went to the dentist, but nothing works.
Since when?
Oh, God, I don't know. And I walked miles and miles till I had to sit down in the snow or any old place. I'm sorry. I know I'm silly to be this way. I'll stop crying. Really, I will. Please don't be angry with me.
Angry?
I knew you want to get that damn play or whatever it is done. I promised myself I wouldn't go near you or bother you, and then, I don't know, I couldn't.
Angry.
Oh, well, I'll stop crying.
Our artist's conception.
Oh, you and your artist's conception. I'm going to lie down. Please go on working. Look at me. I'm sorry to have been so stupid. This is much better. I think I can go to sleep. Good night.
If it were the first time, where's the moment come? For an incipient dramatist, you're an unearthly blockhead. You maul the climax as always. I'll say that as a slackwire artist, you're a heavenly plumber. You and your chairs. Angry? On the contrary, better put everything in working order. Poor old Flibber. She coughs. She's running on one. Dirty spark plugs. If it were the 15th time, or time itself for that matter, time and space, a soft shoe turn. The well-known writer of scenarios, properties, 1,000,000 lemon pies. The hero, a spitball artist of the first water. Much furniture everywhere broken. Pity and terror incorporated. All comes out in the wash. Happy ending. I've got the machine. Who's got the god? Now, once again, for luck, let's rehearse. Ars longa, vita brevis. The est. Yes, are you with me? You are? Good. Now I straighten up, looking my prettiest, as it were. Head so, eyes wide open. In a lopsided way, you really are almost handsome. We look straight ahead, and we move my careful hand slowly down along my jacket into his pocket. I slowly put his hand into my pocket. As if looking for the 15th volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Very easily, don't you know? I should like to see myself do this. I do this very well, really. Mistaken vocation? Should have been an actor, perhaps. Now we move my hand out of this pocket very slowly, so as not to. Perfect. That's the gesture. Not quite slow enough, perhaps. Now lifting his arm in a slow, easy curve, like this, to the right temple. I don't shut my eyes. I am a fool. I can never get my revenge on you. If I shut my eyes, I'm not killing you. And if I don't, it's you who kill your miserable self. Quell Blog! Morgan.
What?
Oh, it's my play. The wily villain, trapped by armies of unalterable law and so forth, commits hairy charisma with an atomizer. Ought to be a howling success, don't you think? The Jarvanese way. Sorry to frighten.
What's...
Would you care to inspect? Pistil, the female organ of a flower. But I got a D+ in cryptogamic botany when Professor Roland Thaxter was arrested for riding his bicycle on the sidewalk. Look, really very neat, in 3 parts. Ovary, style, stigma. Are you still unhappy?
I thought...
Stamen is what you thought. It contains the pollen, hence stamina. You don't look unhappy. You don't look unhappy.
Did you do this for me?
This? I don't get you.
Because I think... Yes.
How is it with you, lady?
It's wonderful with me.
The king's to blame. Congratulations.
What king?
King, queen, and knave. King Kinkajou with his prehensile tail. King, see, why didn't you let me know?
The second one sounds like a nice king. Are you busy?
Busy? Not just now.
Then come over here, please.
Motive?
Because I'm happy, and I want you here. I guess I'll write a play myself, all about policemen and shootings and mirrors.
Why not?
I guess my play will have ever so many more scary scenes than yours. Nobody will go to see your play, because it won't be half so exciting. Oh, and my play will have something yours hasn't got, and all the mothers will bring their children to see him.
Him?
The elephant.
Indeed.
I'll have a full-sized elephant in my play.
With the trunk and everything.
Of course. Oh, you darling with its baby face. That hat's all moth-eaten or something. You must buy yourself a new one. My lover.
What did you say then?
My lover. I can say that if I like. Because it's true.
Can you? Oh, here's something queer. I can say, that's not my hat. And it's true.
Is it now? You mean you've given that dreadful old hat away to somebody? Not to me, I hope.
How can I give it away when it doesn't belong to us?
You mean it's just a horrid old hat you rented? By the year, I suppose.
Not rented, borrowed.
Well, now, that's interesting. The dirty old thing. It belongs to somebody else, you mean?
It's a friend of ours.
Of ours? That nasty old crooked disagreeable hat?
It's the other man's hat.
What?
Just as these are his clothes. Didn't I tell you? But you knew, really. Really, you were just pretending.
I knew.
Just about these neckties and socks and things. He lets me wear them because it amuses him.
What are you talking about?
Am I?
I don't understand. What other man? Where?
Here, of course.
Really, dear? You might be serious. You know, I don't understand you when you're joking.
Seriously, dear, I don't wish to alarm you, but there really are 2 men in this room.
2?
One of whom is jealous of the other.
Are you trying to be funny or something?
I'm not trying to be funny, seriously.
Oh, I thought you were. What are you doing?
Something extraordinarily dangerous. I am really sitting in this other man's cage, and I'm really being caressed by this other man's canary.
Who's that?
You are.
Canary. Of whom?
Your lover is in this room.
Not any longer.
Yes, he is, and I can prove it.
Oh no, you can't.
Oh, very easily, by showing him to you. Would you like to see him now?
Now? Yes.
Right this way, ladies and gentlemen. See?
What?
He's looking right at you. Why not say hello? After all, it's no use pretending to me that you don't know this gentleman.
Oh. Him.
Yes. Therefore, let us pray. Oh, Mr. Man, it sometimes seems that I am taking your place. Please don't be angry with me. You know perfectly well that I can never seriously compete with you, and I know perfectly well you've too much sense to believe what they say about her and me, not to say that there'd be anything to blame if there really was anything between us, but as a matter of fact, I'm innocent too, Mr. Man. I swear I'm innocent. Now that we've established that this is all a joke, let's speak seriously. Now, for this here young woman, I perfectly know that she's been true to you, and everybody knows, and you yourself know if you think that that you're the only fellow that she's really ever seriously been in love with, or really seriously ever wanted, or seriously really ever cared about at all. N'est-ce pas?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
You aren't mad, am I?
I suppose it's because I'm stupid.
Got it. Don't suppose. Or, if you must suppose that you are standing somewhere where continuously something happens. Suppose that snow appears, covering the earth, melting, disappears. Suppose that the earth rises, reappears, moves. Suppose spring, or suppose that I'm standing before a mirror and that the consciousness of my surface dissolves before an image, as snow may melt before rain, or as winter melts before April, or as the awake must dissolve before the asleep. In other words, suppose that a part of me is speaking at this moment.
But really, everything's winter outside.
But seriously, dear, the nearer something is, the farther away it seems. These solidities and silences, which we call things, are not separate units of experience, but are poises, self-organizing collections. There are no entities, no isolations, no abstractions, but there are departures, voyages, arrivals, contagions. I have seen an instant of consciousness as a heap of jockstracks. This heap is not inert. It is a kinesis fatally composed of countless mutually dependent stresses, a product and quotient of innumerable perfectly interrelated tensions. Tensions, by which any portion flowing through every other portion becomes the whole, are the technique and essence of being. They copulate in laughter. In your least premeditated gesture are born myriads which die only to be incredibly reborn. They are eaten and drunk. We breathe and excrete them under different names. I do not stroke edges, and I do not feel music, but only metaphors. Metaphors are what comfort and astonish us, which are the projected brightness of ourselves. A million metaphors times or divided by a million metaphors constitute a moment or a coat sleeve. Here is what we call smells and flavors. The difference between this face and another. God, never, tomorrow, love, yesterday, death, or whatever yourself and myself agree to entitle that minute, indestructible doll which only the artist possibly may endow with a carefully passionate gesture.
Maybe you mean something. I don't know.
Ah, but don't you know there is a further image, one that appears not so much in the window of sleep as in a still deeper mirror? The planes overlap sometimes, and sometimes the straight lines seem to fall. Philosophy is a dream pistol, which goes off, bang, into flowers and candy. We dissolve, you and I. Stop, look, and listen to a fraction of myself. Life is a kind of lust which melts, producing death. A child.
By the way, may I be allowed to ask a question?
You may.
What's this play of yours all about?
This play of mine is all about mirrors.
But who's the hero?
The hero of this play of mine. A man.
Naturally, what sort of a man?
The sort of a man who is writing a play about a sort of a man who's writing sort of a play.
That's a queer hero, isn't it?
Isn't it?
And the heroine? Or isn't there any?
On the contrary, my heroine lives right over there.
Me?
Me, the beautiful mistress of the extraordinary Mr. O. Him.
Extraordinary. Because he thinks she's beautiful?
Extraordinary because I need a shave. Because he needs a shave.
Seesaw, Marjorie Duck.
4 out of 5 will get wedlock.
But how could I when it's Friday the 13th?
By reading the Gospel according to St. Freud.
None would be wiser for a glass of mercury.
But how about standing on the third rail?
Yes, except February has too many holidays.
In vino veritas.
Beware of pickpockets.
Look what happened to Napoleon. He lost the battle at Waterloo.
And what about Jesus Christ? They crucified him.
Quite the contrary. They took after their mother.
Immediately?
No, with salt and pepper and of course a dash of lemon.
But I only made it beyond page 6 when the conductor died in my lap.
It has wings, I think.
That's the insidious thing about hippocampus. Unpleasant breath.
Atlantic coast from Cape Cod to Charleston.
Greatest length, 7 inches.
A Pacific Coast species grows nearly 12 inches long.
The young are carried in pouches by the male.
The only fish with a grasping tail.
May I sit beside
If you
you?
don't very much mind.
A hand, accurate and incredible.
The dark is so many corners.
And here life moves faintly. A wrist, the faint throb of blood, precise, miraculous.
So many dolls who move.
Curve, and they talk of dying. The blood delicately descending and ascending, making an arm, being an arm. The warm flesh, the dim, slender flesh full of life, slenderer than a miracle, frailer.
By themselves.
And these are the shoulders through which fell the world, the dangerous shoulders of Eve. In God's entire garden newly strolling. How young they are. They are shy, shyest, bird-like. Not shoulders, but young, alert birds.
Darker.
A distinct throat which breathes, a head small, smaller than a flower. With eyes and with lips, lips more slender than light, a smile, how carefully and slowly made, a smile made entirely of dream. Eyes deeper than spring, eyes darker than spring, more new.
We must go very carefully.
These are the further miracles. The breasts, the thighs, the all which is beyond comprehension, the all which is perpetually discovered yet undiscovered, sexual, sweet, alive.
Until light. What are you saying?
Not saying, praying. Now I lay you down not to sleep. Are you sure? Are you terribly, wonderfully sure?
Sure. Yes.
Mademoiselle de Outrefoy, purveyor of mental meanderings and bodily bliss, to Mr. Ash E. and His Imperial Majesty, the man in the mirror.
What do you mean?
I mean that you have been the mistress of someone.
Are you terribly, wonderfully sure?
Of that? Yes, I am sure.
I gave him everything, you mean?
I mean just that, once upon a time.
How extraordinary. And who were you? Once upon a time.
Why do you ask?
Because, shall I tell you?
If you wish.
The more I remember, the more I am sure it never happened.
dead.
And now, everything changes and I can distinguish between things. Oh, I begin to see things very clearly. You are just as you were.
I understand less and less.
Do you? It's clear now, can't you see?
I say that to whom? Excuse me, will you have a cigarette?
You simply say it. This is what you say. May I kiss you?
I'm very dull. May I kiss you?
No, because I'm not anymore. This isn't me. Because somewhere me is, and it would be jealous if you kissed somebody else.
Jealous. Why not the truth?
You are making a mistake.
Probably.
There's nobody else, really, so far as I know.
I should prefer that you did not lie to me.
Yes?
I should.
I'm not lying.
No. You're not lying.
The snow did it. Or it was the rain. Something outside of me and you, and we may as well let something alone.
That would be pleasant to
It
believe.
moves quietly when everything is asleep. Folding hands, I don't know. Shutting flowers, I guess. Putting toys away.
This is the end.
Do you like to call it that?
Tell me what it is, if it's not the end.
This might be where we begin.
To begin hurts. Tell me, will this folding and shutting person who moves take our memories away?
No. I feel as if we'd never lived. Everything's so sure, so queer.
Everything will be queer,
Do you
perhaps.
think?
When everything has stopped.
Stopped.
When you and I are, so to speak, folded with all our curves and gestures.
In the earth.
Anywhere.
Somewhere. In the spring. You and I lying. Together.
And so exceedingly still.
No, there'll be things.
Things.
Trees pushing and little creatures wandering busily in the ground because everywhere it's spring. They'll go wandering into me and into you, I expect. Roots and creatures and things. But I shan't mind. If
No.
I'm with you.
Then it will be too late. It will all be gone then. Think.
I don't want to think.
Lips which touched at first how lightly. What were lips, distinctly, slowly coming against more than lips. Mouths firmly living upon each other, the focused ourselves, alive, proud, deep, bewildered, approaching gradually, nearing exquisitely, scarcely, touching, and then heartily announced by miles, by years of strutting light, the minute instant, the enormous now. Only think, dear, of you and me gone, like two kites when the string breaks positively into nowhere, shut like umbrellas, folded like napkins.
Only think, dear, that you and I have never really been in love. Think that I'm not a bit the sort of person you think. Think that you fell in love with someone you invented. Someone who wasn't me at all. Now you're trying to feel things, but that doesn't work. Because the nicest things happen by themselves. You can't make them happen. I can't either, but I don't want to. And when you try to make them happen, you don't fool yourself, and you certainly don't fool me. That's one thing about me. I'm not clever, and I don't try to make things happen. Well, you made a mistake about me, and I know that. But the fact is, you know you made a mistake. Everybody knows it. Think what is. Think that you are now talking very beautifully through your hat.
You are a very remarkable person, among other reasons, because you can make me afraid.
I'm not, and I don't want to be remarkable. What you really think about me, and won't admit that you think, is true.
Don't you understand?
I feel. That's my way, and there's nothing remarkable about it. All women are like that.
No one is like
pooh.
you.
I don't flatter myself. Not very much. I know perfectly well it's foolish of you to waste your time with me when there are people who will understand you. And I know I can't because things were left out of me. What's the use of being tragic? You know you aren't sad, really. You know what you really are, and really you're sure of yourself, whereas I am never sure. If anybody were going to be tragic, it ought to be me. I know that perfectly well. I've never done anything, and I don't believe I ever will. But you can do things. Nobody can make you unsure of yourself. You know you will go on, and all your life you've known.
May I tell you a great secret?
A secret?
All my life I've wondered if I'm any good. If my head and my heart are made out of something firmer, something more living than what I see everywhere covering itself with hats and with linen. If all these capable and little and disgusting minds, which somehow are responsible for the cities and countries in which I exist, have not also perhaps manufactured this thing, this bundle of wishes, which I like to call myself. If my arms, dreams, hands exist with an intensity that is beyond or different from the intensity of other arms, dreams, hands, you can't imagine how disagreeable it is to wonder, to look about you at the eyes and the gestures which promenade themselves in the streets and in the houses, and to be afraid, to think, am I also one of these? A doll, living in a doll world, doomed to be undressed, dressed, spanked, kissed, and put to bed? You can't imagine how disagreeable it is to wonder. Suppose you spent your whole life buying a dress. Suppose you found the precise and wonderful dress which you had dreamed of, and suppose you bought it and put it on and walked in it everywhere. And everywhere you saw thousands of other people, all of whom were wearing your dress.
You mean I'm like everybody else?
I mean that you have something which I supremely envy, that you are something which I supremely would like to discover. Knowing that it exists in itself as I do not exist and as I have never existed. How do I know this? Because through you, I have come to understand that whatever I may have done and whatever I may have been is mediocre. You have made me realize that in the course of living, I have created several less or more interesting people, none of whom was myself.
Oh dear. Am I like that?
Like nothing.
Please don't talk to me this way. I really don't understand, and I don't think you understand me very well. Nothing is sure.
Limbo. Limbo. The without pain and joyless unworld, lady. In one act, or my life is made of glass.
Your what?
I mean, a clock ticking. Words which were never written. Cries heard through a shut window. Forgotten winter. Flies hanging mindless to walls, ceiling around us dove. Laughter of angels. Ehiu fugaces. Glass flowers.
I have no mind. I know that. I know I'm not intelligent and that you like me for something else. There isn't any sense in my asking. I ask merely because I want to. I know I haven't any brains, and really, I don't mind. I've seen women with brains, and they're miserable, or at least they seem to be. I don't know. It might be nice to have a mind. Sometimes. Please don't think I'm unhappy, because I'm not. And I'm not trying to make you unhappy. I know what I'm really like. And what's more, I know that you know. We're not fooling ourselves. But what you're really like, I don't know. And that doesn't make me unhappy either. I don't care. I know a part of you, and I'm glad. As a matter of fact, I'm rather proud. I think I know a great deal. For instance, if I ask you something, you won't mind. And if my asking hurt you, I wouldn't care. I'm like that. It's me. I'm glad everything's over, because I've loved you very much. I'm glad there'll be nothing except memories. You know what I liked best about you? What I will always like and will always remember? It's your hands. You know that, and I tell you. Tell me something. Because it doesn't matter, and you're going. Tell me one thing. Tell me, as if I were dead, and you were talking to someone else with your hands on her breasts, what there was once about me.
I hope that I had, perhaps, told you.
Listen. It's snowing. Think. Just think of people everywhere, and houses, and rivers, and trees, and the mountains, and the oceans. Then think of fingers, millions, out of somewhere quietly and quickly coming, very carefully. Think of everywhere, fingers touching, fingers skillfully, gently, everything. Oh, think of the snow coming down beautifully and beautifully frightening ourselves, and turning dying and love and the world and me and you into 5 toys. Touch me a little. It will be so pleasant to dream of your hands for 100 years.
Dreams don't live 100 years.
Don't they? Perhaps mine does. If I had a mind, every morning I'd jump out of bed and hurry to a sort of secret drawer where I'd kept my mind because someone might steal it. And I'd open the drawer with a key and find my mind safe. But to make sure, I'd take it out of the box where it lived, because if I had a mind, I'd be very careful of it for fear it might break. And I'd go to the window with this little mind of mine, and holding it very carefully, I'd look through the window out over the roofs, with smoke coming out of all the chimneys, slowly, and maybe a street where people moved carefully in the sunlight in the morning.
I held my husband up to the light yesterday and saw through him.
Oh, and what did you see?
Your whole appearance depends upon your hair.
I saw father eating a piece of asparagus.
Your husband's a landscape gardener?
It's off because it's out.
No, he does something in the interest of science.
Oh, really, what does he do?
I'm not quite sure. Something about guinea pigs, I think.
About guinea pigs? How fascinating!
Happiness in every box.
Yes, I think he does something about guinea pigs so that they'll have children.
Not really.
A pure breath is good manners.
Because you see, he wants them to have children in the interest of science.
I didn't suppose guinea pigs could have children.
I didn't either when I married him, but George says he doesn't know why guinea pigs can't have children. If children can have guinea pigs, you see.
A clean tooth never decays.
Do children have guinea pigs?
Oh, yes, more's the pity. Mine often have them.
Your nails show your refinement.
Badly?
Permettez, monsieur.
Oui, monsieur.
Sit down. Waiter.
Monsieur,
Trois whisky et une assiette.
une assiette, monsieur. Como una assiette en
Non,
país?
une assiette nature pour le chou.
Ah, pour le chat. Jeune, monsieur.
I never forget faces.
Really?
Your face is familiar.
Yes.
I've seen you somewhere before.
Possibly.
Were you ever in a city where the money is called poo?
I may have been.
I think you were. And I think that's where I met you.
The world's not so big after all.
Pardon. Meet
John
my
Brown.
friend, Mr.
John Brown.
Enchanté, monsieur.
Have a cigar? The lady prefers cigarettes.
Thanks.
Did I understand you to say you were John Brown?
Correct.
Well, in that case, let me ask you something. Does your body lie moldering in the grave? Because mine does.
Yes.
But that's not all. My soul goes marching on. The lady doesn't believe. She doesn't know who I am. We just met.
Who are you?
I am the unpublished photograph of George Washington crossing the Susquehanna in a breeches buoy. Who are you?
I live here.
In that case, let me ask you something. Are you one of those goddamn artists?
Você, monsieur. L'assiette nature.
No, that is not exactly. I earn money by taming jellyfish.
The lady doesn't believe you. The lady doesn't believe anything.
Well, that lady is a wise lady. A votre santé, madame. Ashes to ashes.
Alley up. How much?
How much what?
How much do you make?
Oh, 30 cents a jellyfish.
And what do you do with them when they're tame?
I sell them to millionaires. Il fait chaud, n'est-ce pas, mademoiselle?
Très chaud, monsieur.
Been over here long?
Not very. I was born the day before yesterday.
I think you must have seen a show I saw last night. Folies per share?
Never heard of them.
The lady doesn't believe I've been. Waiter.
Monsieur.
The same. Encore.
La même chose? Bien, monsieur.
Are you married?
Sometimes.
You ought to see that show.
Good.
Rotten. A bunch of amateurs and some hand-painted scenery. They don't know how to put on a show over here. Little old New York's the only place that does the theater any good. One more whiskey for the lady.
No,
The
No,
lady's
merci.
got one.
Give the lady a drink. Encore.
Encore un whiskey? Bien, monsieur.
As for the women, they're fat and they're clumsy and they're naked and they don't know they're alive. I can hand Paris only one thing. The Scotch is sure death. What are you doing with that cabbage? Taming it?
Un whiskey? Aussi, monsieur.
How much for all this?
Ah, ça vous fait...
Combien?
Ah, ça fait 400 francs sous, monsieur.
The lady doesn't believe I can pay for it. Sing sang frong. Keep the change.
Merci, monsieur.
Going back.
Back?
Back to the dear old USA.
Can't do it.
No?
Let me tell you something. I had a son, and he's a drunkard. And I had a daughter, and she's a whore. And my son is a member of all the best clubs of New York City, and my daughter married $13 million. And I am a member of the goddamn bourgeoisie.
Admitting that these dolls of because are dissimilar since one goes up when the other comes down, and assuming a somewhat hypothetical sawhorse symmetrically situated with reference to the extremities of a strictly conjectural seesaw, God is either the candlestick or the answer. In that case, let me ask you something. Shall we dance the I touch?
Terribly. Especially in summer.
Oh, how simply frightful. All over them.
Drowsiness, rumblings, sour risings, heartburn, water rash, and the feeling of being stuffed.
That depends. Sometimes.
Is it painful?
Ask the man who owns one.
Not really. like falling down the stairs, but you apply the same remedy. 1 stick of dynamite in a tumbler full of ink before meals.
Ask Dad! He knows.
I understand the dynamite, but what does the ink do?
Comes out like a ribbon, lies flat on the brush.
Why, the ink dissolves the guinea pigs and makes them nervous.
And then what do they do?
Look for the union label on every garment.
They? Who?
The guinea pigs!
Oh. Well, the guinea pigs dissolve and then they have the children.
My, how time flies. You just never know what to expect, do you?
Yes, life is a mystery at best.
If it isn't an Eastman, it isn't a Kodak.
And we have so much to be thankful for, haven't we?
I should say so. My husband and I were married 50 years. Got day before yesterday, and we've never had a single crossword. What do you think about that?
I imagine myself it was very nice.
I remember morning, silence, houses and the river. April, the green Seine filled with houses, filled with windows out of which people looked, and then everything is upside down. Then comes a least breeze, and the people and the windows themselves and all the houses gradually aren't. I remember standing, thinking in sunlight and saying to myself, dying should be like this.
Dying?
To feel like one of the upside down people in one of the wrong side up windows when a breeze comes.
It must be a nice place, Paris, for a man.
I happen to be a dream there.
But you're not anymore. Tell me, do I look very old?
How did you get that idea?
Women don't get it. They're born with it. Besides, the first time I saw you again, you told me that I changed.
Much. Have I?
Changed? A little.
I ask because if you remember, you once said that you had changed, but that I was the same.
Oh, yes, I remember saying that.
You were right about memories.
Was I?
Wonderfully right.
Isn't it queer? Feel that?
I can't believe that we're together.
With me, it's just the other way.
When one has been a dream, it takes time to, so to speak, renovate oneself.
Let's not talk about dreams anymore.
I shall try not to.
Such a queer day. When I saw you again and you didn't recognize me and I didn't care.
It was raining.
Terribly hard. I was running because I'd forgot to take my umbrella. Then I stopped.
In the rain.
In front of you.
We looked at each other, probably.
We didn't say anything.
I very well remember to have been looking.
Then you offered me your umbrella.
Did I?
We walked along under your umbrella for a long time, and most of it, people were laughing.
Were people laughing?
Until we stood before the door. Then I spoke to you. Do you remember what I said? I said, it isn't raining. It hadn't been for some time, and I knew, but I didn't say anything.
I don't remember.
Then, do you know what you did?
No.
Well, you shut the umbrella.
The key squeaked in the lock more than I expected. The floor creaked more than I remembered its creaking.
Yes, I was about to take out mine when you stopped me and took out yours.
You had forgotten giving me that key once upon a time.
I never dreamed you'd kept it.
Got it. I couldn't go carefully enough.
You frightened me a little when you shut the door. You shut it so very, very gently. I remember how you walked to the sofa and how you sat down.
Perhaps I was afraid of breaking someone.
We sat for a long time where we're sitting now.
A long time?
Nearly an hour, I guess, and until you suddenly got up and looked out the window.
Outside, somebody was putting away pieces of the sky which looked remarkably like toys.
And always, you stood looking, your hands folding and shutting. Finally, just as it was getting very dark, I think you said, "My hands have been asleep." Very gently you said that and went out. Shutting the door carefully, I heard your feet going down the stairs I sat hearing for a long time. In the dark, in the rain, your feet walking. Tell me, when you left without your umbrella, where did you go?
Go?
It's silly of me to ask. I ask because I want to. Did you go to a park like the big one with the animals, or the little park where the harbor is?
Harbor? How did you guess? And queer that I should have done that, avoiding all the animals.
Ships go out sometimes. Maybe you were thinking of ships.
And sometimes come in. And there I met a man with green eyes.
A man, what was he doing?
Doing? Doing nothing, I think. Or let me see. A man came and sat down beside me on a bench because it was raining.
Or maybe because he guessed you were lonely?
And a crumpled hat, who said, I remember, that he had just returned from Paris. Oh, and he wasn't wearing any spats.
Did he talk too much?
I suppose so.
What did he talk about? Paris?
Probably.
Didn't you talk to him?
I don't think I did. Yes. No, I didn't talk to him.
Why?
Because I killed him.
The man.
Himself.
You didn't.
Kill him?
Him.
Oh, him. Of course. Just the other way around.
What do you mean?
It's clear now, can't you see? He killed me.
Please, dear. I'm so nervous. Don't.
Frighten you? All right, sorry. He didn't kill me.
Of course not.
On the contrary, what did the wretch do?
Never mind, let's...
Why, as sure as you live and as cool as you please, producing from the vicinity of his exaggerated omphalos an automatic, he asked me to shoot himself, or perhaps I asked me to shoot himself. I can't quite remember which.
Why are you like this?
Or, as I said to the man in the green hat with crumpled eyes, why in the name of heaven should a gentleman recently returned from Paris ask him to shoot myself? And do you know what the rascal replied to that?
I don't want to know. Let's talk about something else.
Sir,
The play.
sir, said he, the reason I ask me to kill yourself is that a gentleman also recently returned from Paris.
The one you were working on when... The one, you know...
From Paris, mind, has recently penetrated God's country by fast freight with the express purpose of committing the pardonable sin with my ex-libido, I think, was the accurate and incredible word he employed. Oh, then the ocean, filled with trillions of non-aliens of able-bodied seamen and only half-human mermaids and hundreds upon thousands of whales, came up everywhere over the earth, up everywhere over the world, up to the bench where we were sitting. And the mermaids' bellies were full of little sticky fish, and the great frolicking whales were playing and swaying upon harps of gold, and the seamen were sailing before the mast. Then the ocean rose and stood solemnly beside us, resting its chin in its hand and looking at the recently returned gentleman from Paris, whereupon the recently returned gentleman from Paris asked the ocean to sit down.
You...
But you didn't say anything. You was much too busy eyeing the mermaids, and counting the seamen, and admiring the most ginormous golden harps of the most enormous mammals of this earth.
Didn't...
Until you looked, and the ocean had gone, and away off, some thousands of hundreds of billions of millions of light years away. Then you heard a sound. It was the sound of the mermaids, with bellies full of gooey fish and with long hair, chasing the seamen everywhere and snatching the golden harps from the hands of the resplendent whales. Then all this sound went away slowly, and finally you looked all about you, and you was alone, holding in you's hand a papyrus from Harun al-Rashid in the most excellent Arabic, inviting us all to a petit déjeuner at 23 hours on January 32nd at 7117 Columbus Cross, the ocean blue.
Is that all?
I put it in my pocket, the ocean green, but you didn't give a continental damn.
That's all?
I see flowers.
Yes, thank you. Do you know something?
Yes.
You have changed.
Much.
Quite a lot. Your eyes, or maybe it's the light. Did you...
Aren't my eyes green?
It's been a long time, hasn't it, since you... Please, tell me, am I different very much?
Different?
Older looking.
I think you look a little younger. Just a little younger.
You're joking. I know I look older.
I'm not joking, seriously. But probably you're right. So my eyes have changed. Like Rip Van Winkle, they've been asleep.
You mean that when your eyes see me, they know they've been asleep?
No, I really mean that they don't have people like you up there.
Where?
Up in the mountains where they play a game with thunder. Anywhere, nowhere, where for 100 years I fell asleep.
Oh, those mountains.
Those.
Are you quite sure you're not sorry that you're awake?
Of that, yes, I am wonderfully sure. You see, Rip's story and my story are different.
Because you haven't a beard? Oh, but I'm glad you haven't a beard. You know I can't stand man with beards. Or spats.
No, not because I haven't a beard. But because when I came down out of those mountains, you were younger than before.
How do you know that maybe I'm married and have ever so many... Didn't his?
His?
Rip Van Winkle's girl, or was it his wife? I thought she'd forgotten all about him in the meantime and married somebody else.
I only seem to remember that she was dead.
Oh.
I was thinking, so am I. I suppose no one, including his own children, believed him when he told them.
When he told them about the mountains?
About the mountains and about being asleep.
Do you think? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, but this is getting too complicated for me.
Please be happy. Why should I talk about myself? I'd much rather talk about you.
There's nothing to talk about.
Isn't there? I'm very sorry. We all make mistakes.
I know. I make them.
You, stop.
Listen, suppose...
Don't suppose.
Suppose I made a mistake and it was the mistake of my life, and suppose I'm making it.
You're wrong. Quite wrong. It's the mistake of my life.
Is it?
Yes.
It may take two people to make a really beautiful mistake.
The nicest things happen by themselves. Which reminds me, I had a dream only the other day. A very queer dream. May I tell it to you?
Do you want to very much?
If you don't very much mind.
If it's not too queer.
Will you promise to interrupt me if it is too queer?
Okay.
You were with me in a sort of a room. I was standing beside you, and you seemed to be telling me something. But I was only tremendously glad to feel you so near. And that was beautiful to me. You took my left hand and led me somewhere else in the room. And through the room-shaped dark softness, I tiptoed waitingly. You paused, and I stood next to you. Next to your hair, your hands, your blood, your breathing. I felt that you were smiling a little. Then you pointed to something, and stooping carefully, I could not quite see, but through the dark softness, I seemed to feel another person lying very quietly with an entire quietness that queerly frightened me. May I go on?
Go on.
When I could see this other person's eyes and my eyes were looking at each other, hers were big and new in the darkness. They were looking at me as if we had known each other from somewhere else. They were very close, so close that my breath almost touched them, so close that my mind almost touched what looked at me from behind them. I can't describe it. A shyness, more shy than you can ever imagine. A shyness inhabiting very easily and skillfully everything which is profoundly fragile, and everything which we really are, and everything which we never quite become. But just as I almost touched this shyness, it suddenly seemed to touch me, and in touching, to believe me, in all from which I had come, and into which I was changing with every least thought, and each carefully hurrying instant. I felt a slight, inexplicable gesture, nearer than anything, nearer than my own body. An inscrutable timidity, capturing the mere present in a perfect dream or wish or now. Appearing frailness, perfectly curious about me, and curiously and perfectly created out of my own hopes, out of my own fears. I did not see any more then. Then, stooping lower, I kissed her hair with my lips, and with the trembling lips of my mind I kissed her head, herself, her silence. But as I kissed her, she seemed to me made out of a silence by whatever is most perfectly silent, so that to find out if she were perhaps real, I spoke to her, and her voice answered, as if perhaps not speaking to me at all, or as if it felt embarrassed because it knew it was doing something which it should not do. Yet I remember in that moment her voice was glad to feel close by the unreal someone whom I had been. Then the darkness seemed to open, and I know what I saw then. It was a part of myself, a child, lying in a crib, lying very quietly, with her head in the middle of a biggish pillow and her arms out of the blankets, and crossing very quietly, and holding a doll in the keeping fingers of each hand. So you and I together went out of this open darkness, where a part of ourselves somehow seemed to be lying, where something which had happened to us lay awake in the softness and held a girl doll and a boy doll. Perhaps you closed the door gently then, but I remember nothing about coming into the light. That is my dream. Into the mirror with it. We'll throw it away. Hark, that is my dream, which just fell into my soul and broke.
I guess it took so long to fall because it was made of nothing.
You have a bright idea. Shall we smoke a cigarette? Or two, perhaps? Then I will, unless...
I don't mind.
But there was a dog, named something or the other.
A dog.
We used to travel everywhere together. I used to take him to bed with me. God spelled backwards.
What sort of a dog?
The name being Gypsy. It was a cloth dog. And he didn't last very long. Tell me something.
What?
Tell me you used to have a cloth dog too.
I didn't. At least I don't think so.
Didn't you? Not ever? There was a battleship which wound up with invisible wheels that made it move along the floor. It was very fragile. They called it the Renown. Did you have dolls?
I guess so. I don't remember.
Well, I perfectly remember that I had a great many dolls, but that I only loved one. It was a wax doll named Bellissima, who melted in front of the fire.
I suppose you cried.
On the contrary, I asked for a cup of tea. You have given me symbols. Look, I see my life melting as what you call winter. The edges are fading. Gradually, very gradually, it diminishes. But notice there is a purpose in the accident. I mean that there is something outside and beyond what happens. Someone who is thirsty and tired. Someone to whom the disappearance of my being sweetens. As, let's say, this dissolving cube of sugar. Unbeing. Pardon. God would like a slice of lemon. Thank you. We all just are a trifle crazy, aren't we? Like Archimedes with his mirrors, and like little Mr. Benjamin F. who flew kites in a thunderstorm. Which reminds me, I never told you, I was also flying a kite, and it pulled and it rose, wonderfully reaching out and steadily climbing over the whole wide world until you'd never believe anything in your life could be so far and awfully bright. Until you almost thought it had found some spot where spring is all the time. But then my foolish hands were full of comment on twine string.
It's snowing.
Gay may change, but my thoughts are in the wash and having a clean thing to put on. Thoughts are, after all, like anything else you wear. They must be sent to the crazy laundry once in a while, and the crazy laundry wears out more crazy thoughts than a crazy man ever did. Hypnos and Thanatos, a couple of Greek boys who made a fortune overnight. The laundry of the awakened incorporated. Having mangled our lives with memories, it rinses them in nightmares. I think I hear nothing. But if I ask you something now, will you promise to answer me truthfully? No? Because you can't? Tell me, why can't you answer me truthfully now?
Now you want truth?
With all my life, yes.
You wanted beauty once.
I had believed that they were the same.
And you don't anymore?
I shall never believe that again.
What will you believe?
The beauty has walls. The beauty has shut me from the truth. It's like this room in which we are together for the last time, whose walls shut us from everything outside.
If what you are looking for isn't here, why don't you go where it is?
Because in all directions I cannot move. Through you, I have made a discovery. You have shown me something about which I am doubtful deep in my heart. I cannot feel that everything has been a waste and a mistake. That you and I have inhabited an illusion merely to escape from reality and the knowledge of ourselves. Why should what is desirable shut us entirely from what is? No, that must not be quite all. I will not think that the tragedy can be more simple. I believe that there is something else. There must be something else. And my heart tells me that unless I discover it now, I will never discover it. Am I wrong?
You were talking about dolls. You see, I think sometimes.
Are you thinking now?
I don't suppose he eats them, do you?
Excuse me, ladies. Who is that little creature?
A homeless magician we're slightly acquainted with.
A master of illusion.
A person of no importance. His name is Nascator.
Barnum, thou shouldst be Darwin at this hour.
Everybody, this way, please. Now we come to the corned beef and caviar of the whole shebang. The burn my clothes, I'm in heaven. Then now you see it, and now you think you see it. The genuine piece de resistance, the original, undiluted milkshake of the ages. Princess Ananke, the world's first and foremost exponent of Yakahula Hikidula, otherwise known as the Royal Umbilical Bangle Cakewalk, comes from the land where girls bathe in natural champagne 3 times a day and don't wear nothing between the knees and the neck. Everybody wise up to this fact. And the management has included Princess Ananke's super spectacular act without extra charge to nobody. Get that, ladies and gents. You get to see her strut her stuff for the original price of admission. Namely, and with 2 bits 2 and 5 bits 5, making 5 and 20 or 25 cents, the fourth part of a silver dollar. All you beaus, guys, bums, ginks, and nuts what are treaded for a step this way. The Princess Ananke is about to perform for the Oriental Electrically Lighted Orphans Home, and the boys in general are hitherto strictly sacred hoopla or wriggle directly from the temple of you. You step right up, gents. The princess wears so little you can stick her full of looks like she was a pincushion. And that ticklish and magnificent human form, divine. You crawl right up, fella. Give the princess a 50-50 chance with you, kiddo. She'll boost your splendiferous, bow-legged, blue-eyed exterior out of the pea-green interior of pink-purple superconsciousness. 14 million astral miles into the prehensile precinct of predetermined, prehistoric, preternatural nothing.
It's all done with mirrors. Ah!
I'm thinking.
May I ask what you are thinking? Is it anything, nothing, everything, something?
The last.
Something?
Something.
Is it something about the window?
No.
Something about the door?
No.
Is it something about what's behind you?
Not exactly. No.
But you are thinking something about this room, aren't you?
Yes, I'm thinking something about this room.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to tell me what it is you're thinking.
Can't you guess? I'll give you time.
Time is the because with which dolls are stuffed. No, I can't guess.
It only has 3 walls.
Behind you, that's a wall, isn't it?
That's 1.
1. And what do you see there?
A wall.
2. And there?
3.
3. And what's over there?
People.
What sort of people?
Real people. And you know what they're doing?
What are they doing?
They're pretending that this room and you and I are real.
I wish I could believe this.
You can't.
Why not?
Because this is true.
There's a fruit store on our street. It's run by a Greek, and he keeps good things to eat, but you should hear him speak. When you ask him anything, why he never answers no. He just yeses you to death, and as he takes your dough, he tells you, yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today.